Hello, everyone. This is Oscar from Oscar's Realm, and welcome to Every Monster from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark film, Ranked. Now, there are obviously going to be very heavy spoilers ahead for this movie, and if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. It is a really good horror movie. So, yeah, I'm only ranking the ones that were in the movie, not the books it's based on. So, yeah, you have been warned. I'm going to be ranking these from least terrifying to most terrifying. Let's get into it. Number 5 on the list is the spiders, aka the red spot. Now, while this scene was easily one of the scariest in the entire film, and I was very uncomfortable the first time I watched it, the spiders themselves aren't that terrifying because all they are just spiders. They're not even like tarantulas, they're just a lot of small spiders that can easily be dealt with. Whereas the rest of the things on this list are horrifying entities that are very deadly. So, this is easily one of the creepiest moments and actions in the entire movie, but it's not a terrifying monster as much. So, that's why they are in the last place. Number 4 is the Jangly Man. Now, some people think the Jangly Man is terrifying, but I personally am not that scared by him. When he first showed up, I thought he was insanely creepy because I find people who can like bend their appendages and limbs other directions than they should very creepy. But after a while, because he was on the screen too long, he became to be very cartoonish for me, and that pretty much lessened the fear factor by quite a lot because he really did feel like just a cartoon villain chasing you around the streets. He is creepy, but not that much. So, I've heard people who say he's the scariest thing in the entire movie, which I do not think is at all true. Number 3 on the list is Harold. Harold is easily one of the creepiest things in the whole movie and probably has the most terrifying moment in the whole movie. Harold killing Tommy is an amazingly well crafted and terrifying sequence of events in this movie, and I think it's the best and scariest moment in the whole movie. He himself is terrifying. He is an insanely ugly and creepy looking scarecrow that can literally teleport around a cornfield and use a pitchfork to stab you and turn you into a scarecrow. Yeah, what about that is not creepy? Everything about this guy, from his look to his actions to his abilities, he's just an insanely creepy villain. And yeah, one of the movie's best parts. I find this character to be awesome. And when my mom first saw this movie, she by far thought he was the scariest one and was completely terrified by that sequence. So, yeah, moving on to the number 2 scariest, which is somehow even more terrifying than Harold, the big toe zombie. This is a very unnerving and very creepy moment and monster that sees a kid alone in his house eating some soup until he finds a big toe and other innards of human bodies inside of it. He then hears a terrifying, raspy voice asking, "Who took my big toe?" This, the following sequence is probably the creepiest part for me when I first saw it, but after watching it a couple more times, it's still terrifying. It sees the kid running and hiding under a bed while he hears the monster coming slowly down the halls. We see just enough of it to make it absolutely terrifying. A rotting, decayed corpse with no eyes or tongue, cracked skin, and a missing toe. When we think the kid might be safe, We then see that the monster has teleported under the bed with him and is dragging him into a pitch black abyss. I know this is a super creepy moment, but I cannot take away from the fact how incredibly loud this was when I watched it in the theater. I know it's all terrifying and all and super creepy, but when I first watched this movie in the theater, this sequence was one of the loudest things I've ever heard. I thought my ears were going to die. It doesn't really, it's not relevant at all to this list. I just wanted to say it because it's true. But absolutely terrifying monster. And it would be number one if the number one pick wasn't so terrifying. Because the number one pick for me is the Nightmare, or what I like to call the White Woman. Now, probably the most dreaded part of the movie upon rewatch for me because of how just unescapably creepy it is when that kid gets lost in the room with the blaring red lights. And yeah, we're not sure what's to come, but then we see an insanely creepily designed white fantasy-like woman, like looks like it could not be even close to human, but it doesn't look non-human either, which is terrifying. Walking down the hall very far away from him. He tries to run away because it seems like he would be able to, but every time he tries to run down a different hallway, she is down that hallway, walking toward her, closer to him. She keeps gaining in, getting closer and closer every time he tries to get away, and eventually it's too late. She then hugs him and absorbs him into her stomach. He is dead. When I first saw this for the first time, I was traumatized slightly. It was one of the creepiest things I had seen in a horror movie in a long time. And yeah, I just think that this is a brilliant scene. And this is one of the reasons I love this movie because unlike a lot of modern horror movies, it is genuinely scary and terrifying, to be honest. To me, this is the scariest monster in the whole movie. I have always had a thing where slow walking evil scares me a lot more than like something chasing you. I think that's one of the reasons It Follows for me is one of the scariest horror movies of all time because an unknown entity out there somewhere walking towards you, never stopping until you die. So, yeah. Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you like this, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.